This is Cashology by FNBO, a podcast devoted to the art and science of managing your money. It's like school, but your only homework is living your best financial life. Class is now in session. What makes a happy marriage? Love, commitment, trust, communication? There are hundreds of podcasts trying to answer that exact question. But researchers find that one of the keys is being on the same page about money and managing your finances. And it's something a lot of newlyweds don't really consider before tying the knot. So what are some tips for newlyweds, or any married couple, when it comes to managing their finances? That's the question for today. Welcome, and thanks for listening to the Cashology podcast, hosted by me, your guide on the path to financial savvy, Julie Wyans. Today we're joined by Barry and Jennifer Benson, a real-life married couple. Barry is a senior director in agribusiness, and Jennifer is vice president wealth management. They've both been with FNBO for over 20 years and married for over 20 years, so they are extremely qualified to talk to us about this subject today. Hi, Jen. Hi, Barry.
Hi, Julie. Nice to be here.
Hello. Yeah, thank you for having us.
I am so excited to have you both here today. I want to start the podcast off with hearing a piece of advice outside of money management on marriage. Do you have any marriage advice you'd like to share?
Oh boy, that's a good question. Lots of ways we could take that. I would say keep time for your marriage, carve out a date night, make sure life doesn't get too busy, and you focus on the two of you as much as you can.
I would agree. And if you can't follow that rule, always go by what your spouse says is always right, and it'll be a lot better off.
Wow.
That sometimes works for me, sometimes not, but I try to go by that.
That's great. Oh my gosh. Well, I'm really excited to talk finances with you both. I think you're obviously both very qualified experts, but I need to know, what makes it so hard to manage finances in a marriage? What are the difficulties? Why is it such a challenge?
Yeah, I can take that first one, Julie. I think money's hard, right? Money's complicated, and it can be a really touchy subject. And so when you first get into a marriage, it's maybe difficult to kind of lay out all the cards, and maybe you may have some more debt, student loans, credit cards than your partner.
Sometimes there's a lot more debt than maybe just a little bit more. So that's always fun conversation.
That may have been personal, directed towards me, Julie, but I was just saying hypothetically is what I was saying. But, you just really have to get everything out on the table and be honest. Obviously trust and honesty is any foundation for a marriage, and it doesn't stop with your finances. It doesn't stop with your money. And so, just get into it. Talk about all of your assets, all of your insurance policies, right? All those things that you maybe never really think about or don't want to think about. That's a hard thing, but it's a big first step. Making sure that, again, you come into the conversation with information, and just build that trust from a finance perspective as well.
Okay, so a newlywed couple has come to the table. They've brought their past finances, their history. They brought a little bit of humor, according to Barry, or at least what he's shown us today. What then comes next once you lay it all out on the table? What do you do?
Yeah, Julie, I think it's best to talk about your priorities and try to generally get in some sort of an agreement on things that are important, whether it being paying down debt, saving to buy a house, buy a car, a lot of those different things that are big picture items. I think it's best, or we found it's best, if you try to stay on the same page. So you don't have to be in 100% in agreement on the exact order of everything, but just overall general idea certainly helps. So, just simple things such as eating in or dining out, and just different items like that of where you go on vacation. Do you have funds to go to the trendy concert when we're not in a COVID time such as now? And so, those type of things take cash and take funds and could lead you astray from your overall general goals and objectives. And again, I don't think you have to be, 100% on all of the exact order, but just the overall general perspective certainly helps. So those big picture items of buying a house and paying down student loans. And then once you come up with those priorities, what's your overall plan in order to make those happen? So Are you saving every penny, or you want to make sure you give yourself a little bit of some fun money too to play with some different items? So those are the items that we found that worked best for us.
So you talked about, Barry, those more expensive concerts or figuring out what price you want on the home. I mean, when you have those conversations with each other, how detailed do you get and how do you reach a compromise?
Yeah, we both we work together on the overall budget and then pick out areas that we would like to actually execute on. So Jennifer's in charge of our day-to-day paying bills and making sure we're up to date on all of those things. If we don't have something on auto pay, which a lot of our different things are on auto pay, which certainly helps us stick to our budget and stay to that. But I would encourage people to certainly talk those items out and visit about who is better at which items and who has better strengths at this and that. I'm probably in charge of more of our overall taxes, some of our larger items, and so I make sure that those things get done with Jennifer's input. But she verifies that we get all our items paid each month. And it's one thing too that if you start one way and find out that that's not working for you, you can certainly change it up. So, but it's best to start with the plan and don't just let time make the decision. And if something isn't working, go ahead and certainly change it if you need to.
So in your relationship, do either of you take the lead, or do you both work together to build that budget?
Yeah, I can take that one, Julie, as well. And, I would say, being pretty detailed is important. So, the best way we have found to do that in our marriage, and I know lots of folks use it, is a budget along with a financial plan. And so, using that budget can really hold everyone accountable. When you know that you're going to get together with your spouse either once a week or once a month and talk about how you're doing on that budget. I know that's helped me maybe control my shopping or getting that new purse or going out and having some fun. So again, that accountability, that detail, a way to track it, a way to all be on the same page is super helpful. And then with a financial plan, the budget's helpful for the day-to-day, but the financial plan is helpful for long-term, right? Thinking about, I know retirement seems like a long ways away. For some of us, it's getting, closer and closer for us. But thinking about, those long-term goals, and that can be retirement, that can be the house, that can be the car, college savings, all those types of things. Those day-to-day decisions help you meet those long-term financial goals that are laid out in your plan. So
that makes a lot of sense. I mean, you can change it up. You can figure out if you don't like managing the day-to-day budget, Jen, you can hand it over to Barry. I mean, it is a compromise constantly in a marriage. And it's interesting to see how that works with everything, from choosing what your date night is to choosing how you save for retirement. I mean, lots of compromise, huh?
Yeah.
Are there any other tidbits that you would like to share with listeners on how you all have managed your budget or your finances, or any other pieces of advice?
Yeah, I would say communication is the key. Just to add a few things that Jennifer talked about, and yeah, she's spot on when she says that your life comes at you in different times and different stages of your life, and so priorities are always changing. Our oldest is just getting ready to go to college, and so obviously I'd encourage everybody to start as early as you can saving for college, as it can sometimes come with a little bit of sticker shock, and you certainly always want to be able to provide and get your children off to the best start that they can.
Yeah, I would add a couple things. Number one, I would just say, like everything, what we talked about as a newlywed and how we talked about our finances and budget is so different than how we do it 20 years later. And so I just think, like everything, evolving, changing, being open, being collaborative is so important, especially when you're talking about your finances, right? And if you're on the same page, it helps with all of the fights that folks can have about money in a marriage. And that's just one less thing to fight about, right? So that's a good thing. The second thing I would bring up is just, utilize the tools that are out there. There's so many great technology platforms, ways you can do budgeting easily, working with an advisor on a financial plan. Take advantage of those tools and resources. Don't try to do it all on your own. You can be a lot more efficient and effective. And I would just say reach out and, always keep learning and keeping the right attitude.
Really great, Jen and Barry. You two have been excellent guests. And quite honestly, you've hit the nail on the head. If you're open and honest with your communication, then hopefully the woes of financial worry will not weigh upon a relationship. If you want to learn more from Jen or from Barry, you can go to FNBO.com/wealth advisors for Jen or FNBO.com/business banking for Barry's information. Thank you everyone for listening. Don't forget to subscribe and keep an eye out for more Cashology episodes coming your way soon. Investment products are not FDIC insured, not a deposit or other obligation of the bank, not insured by any federal government agency, not guaranteed by the bank, may lose value. Information and statements in this podcast are for informational purposes only and are not intended to constitute investment advice or recommendations. First National Bank of Omaha does not make any representation or warranty as to the accuracy or completeness of any information or statements within this podcast.